And then I'm just, it was almost as if I was outside of my body, because it was almost as if the floodgates opened and just words and things that I had never vocalized in years started just pouring out. And it was in that moment that I realized I had never truly come to terms with the gravity of my disability and what it meant to me to have this disability. So, through therapy, I learned that it is okay to have why me moments. It's something I like to say. I learned this from the therapist that I worked with. Shout out to Mr. Bab. I'm hoping to get him on here. But he said to me, it's okay to look in the rearview mirror, but don't look for too long, because you might get in an accident. That was one thing he said to me. And another thing he said to me is people will be who they want to be, not who you want them to be. So, throughout the therapeutic process, I learned that it is okay to have moments where I feel weak, where I feel like I need help, where I feel like I can't be this picture perfect, inspirational, blah, 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 everything. And that is why I also say this in my talks. It taught me this. I think you've all heard that term. You can wake up in the morning and choose to be happy or choose to be sad, right? I think Oprah loves that statement. A lot of people love that. You can wake up in the morning, you can choose to be happy, or you can choose to be sad. And I am here to tell you why that is the biggest load of bullshit you will ever hear. Because if you wake up in the morning and you're not feeling good, right? You're not feeling good. You're not feeling yourself. So if you wake up and you say, I don't feel myself, I'm really sad right now, I'm going through a lot of emotions, but I'm choosing to be happy. What are you essentially doing with that choice? You're putting a mask on, right? You're putting a mask on. So on the mask, you're smiling. But underneath that mask, you could be crying underneath that mask. The mask doesn't change the reality of your situation underneath it. So, the only way to truly be happy is to have a truly shitty day and be completely okay with it. Does that make sense? Because when we feel emotions fully, we're able to work past them. That's part of what I learned, where it's called the cycle of emotions, right? So if I'm feeling sad or feeling angry, let's use sad as an example. So if I'm feeling sad and I say, no, I'm going to be happy no matter what, right? And I push that sadness away. what happens is that sadness gets placed on this cycle. And this cycle exists in a circle. And it goes all the way around, right? And eventually, that sadness is going to come back around. Now, when that sadness comes back around, it could show itself as sadness again, and it could be 10 times worse. Or that sadness can show itself as anger. And it can express itself towards someone in our lives that we had no intention of showing anger towards. But that sadness that we did not deal with in the initial moments of its existence is now expressing itself as anger towards someone else. So, an important message here is that your emotions, your thoughts, feelings, and emotions matter. Whatever you are feeling in the moment, feel it. Feel it to its fullest extent, because that is the only way you will be able to fully work through that emotion. Ladies and gentlemen, I get asked so often, what is the meaning of happiness? How do you define happiness? Now, I said earlier that happiness is having a really shitty day and being completely okay with it. That's one way, yes. But also, I always tell people, happiness is getting yourself to a point where you are able to sit at the table with your traumas, with all the things in your life that have caused you pain, right? That you are able to sit at the dinner table with all of them, acknowledge they exist, acknowledge their impact on your life, and not flip the table over. Because you have now gotten to a point where you have allowed yourself to feel the pain, to feel the sadness, to feel the loneliness, to feel whatever emotions those things have caused you. That those things no longer dictate your actions. Those things no longer have power over you. You can now sit at the table with them and say, I acknowledge you. You are part of me. That is powerful. And I wish that for every single one of you watching and listening to this. Now, the process of getting there, is it easy? Absolutely not. Circling back to the beginning, the beginning of this episode, I talked about when I was bullied. There's so much pain that goes into getting to a point of self-awareness. It really requires a lot of discomfort, a lot of vulnerability. But the only way that you can heal properly, think about it this way. When you have a wound, right? You don't just bandage it up if it's a significant wound, right? Because it couldn't get infected and get all gross. And so what you have to do to heal that wound properly, sometimes you got to peel back the scab, right? You got to kind of peel it back and clean out all the dirt that's inside that wound, right? And it's going to be painful. But in the end, that wound is going to heal properly. It's going to heal properly. You are going to heal properly.